Hostile worlds, bad systems, cosmic mistakes, ordinary people caught in forces too large to fight. These aren't stories about heroes, they're stories about endurance and what breaks when technology outpaces wisdom. Strap in, check your air. This is Vicious Planets. Vicious Planets. Season 0, Episode 2, VP-S0-E2, Schrödinger's Corridor, Ends Gate. By Morgan Olson. At the edge of space sits a station where cause and effect arrive slightly out of order. The war was already happening when Elias Marr arrived. It didn't announce itself. There were no alerts or speeches, no banners rolling across the docking displays, just a steady throughput of freight modules, personnel transfers, and casualty containers stamped with dates that lagged weeks behind the present. The station handled it the way it handled everything else, efficiently, without comment. Officially, it was Harrowgate Station. In conversation, everyone called it Ends Gate. No one ever explained why. Arrival. Vane was already watching when Marr stepped off the transit dock. Not obviously. He was standing at the far end of the platform with a cup of something that steamed slightly, reading a report that may or may not have existed. But he was watching. Marr would understand this later. Vane always arrived first, always positioned himself to observe the moment before the moment he made himself known. Marr didn't know that yet. He was busy watching the loaders. He stood on the arrival platform longer than necessary. The loaders moved with practiced indifference, not lazy, not rushed, calibrated to exactly the pace that prevented both error and complaint. He found himself wanting to take notes on their routing patterns. He didn't, but he wanted to. A corridor designation near the far bulkhead flickered between two numbers. He watched it. It settled, not into the number his briefing packet expected, but into something, as if his attention had been enough to make it decide. He made a note. Behind him, the designation flickered again. Across the platform, Vane set down his report.
"You'll want to keep moving,"
Vane said mildly, arriving beside him without having appeared to cross the distance.
"This platform's scheduled for refit or evacuation, possibly both."
"Sir," Marr said, straightening. "Prime authorization, audit and anomaly review." Vane nodded as if this explained nothing and everything at once.
"Of course you are. We get one of you every few cycles."
They walked as they talked. The station was busy in the way only wartime infrastructure could be. No panic, no urgency, just an endless procession of tasks being completed because stopping would require explanation.
"You'll notice we don't post casualty projections,"
Vane said.
"Not because they're classified, because they're wrong the moment we print them."
"I'm not here for personnel loss," Marr said. "My brief concerns spatial irregularities." Vane smiled faintly.
"Everything concerns spatial irregularities. War just makes people forgive them."
They passed a junction where two corridors merged into one without signage acknowledging the fact. "That intersection isn't on my map," Marr said.
"Which revision?"
"Current prime issue."
"Then it isn't,"
Vane replied.
"I wouldn't stop there anyway. The station's been economical with its geometry."
"Economical how?" Vane turned, eyes kind and tired.
"Son, this station has been at war longer than you've been curious. Things go missing. As long as the numbers reconcile, no one asks where they went.
And if they don't?
Then we make them."
Life on Ends Gate. Marr loved it immediately. He loved the noise first, the overlapping conversations, the constant hum of machinery pushed just past tolerance. Prime World facilities were quiet in a way that suggested fear of mistakes. Ends Gate was loud in a way that suggested mistakes were already accounted for. He walked faster than he needed to, took the long way between sections, volunteered for briefings no one else wanted to attend. This was real work. War or not, this was history while it was still hot. The command deck smelled of coolant, burnt insulation, and coffee reheated too many times.
"Dockmaster Kells,"
Vane said without turning.
"If the Empire's envoy asks again about their missing courier flotilla, tell them no. If they ask a third time, tell them yes, but only spiritually.
Yes, sir, Kells replied.
Across the deck, Traffic Officer Rima Ose argued with a timetable.
We can't move 47 refugee transports through a lane rated for 30, she said. Their models don't account for panic.
Add a buffer,
Vane said.
Label it maintenance.
Marr watched, smiling. Competent chaos. Marr truly felt that things were alive here. The incident. It happened between sentences. Something unfolded itself out of a service access behind the navigation pit. Jointed, reflective, moving too quickly for its shape to settle. Someone screamed. Someone swore. Vane drew his las pistol and fired once. Clean, precise, unremarkable. The thing collapsed in a wash of light and smoke.
Damage report,
Vane said.
No structural harm,
Security replied. Vane glanced at the coffee in his hand, now faintly vibrating, and took a sip.
That tastes like ozone, he said, disgusted. I'm getting a new one.
The bridge resumed its rhythm. The incident was logged as wildlife encounter, minor. Marr stared.
That kind of thing happens.
Ose said later.
Depends what map you're using.
The block. They called it the block, a cluster of desks, terminals, and narrow eating counters wedged between operations oversight and transit compliance. Marr ate with Jack Cirino, Mila Voss, and Chief Archivist Ren Tal. He didn't know yet that this was where you found out what kind of person you were going to be here.
You know who came through about 8 cycles back?
Jack said, not looking up from his logistics scroll.
Mathematician. Proper one. Not just good. The kind of good that makes other mathematicians uncomfortable at parties.
What happened? Marr said. Not quite a question.
Started well?
Ren said. She set down her fork with the precision of a woman beginning something.
Exceptional, actually. Within 2 weeks, he had mapped 17 geometric inconsistencies the station had accumulated over 40 years, cross-referenced them, found load-bearing patterns nobody had seen.
That sounds useful, Marr said.
It was.
Ren said.
For a while.
Jax turned a page.
The walls.
Ren continued.
He started on the walls when the terminals weren't enough. Equations. Hundreds of them. Beautiful work, from what I'm told. The kind you could feel were going somewhere real. People would stop and look. There was a week where 3 separate departments requested transfers to his section just to be near it.
And? Ren peeled the skin off her protein slowly.
Equals God,
she said.
That's what he kept arriving at. Every sequence, every proof. Different entry point every time. Different architecture, different approach. Same destination. A pause. Equals God, equals God, equals God.
Marr stared at him. Then he laughed. Really laughed. The kind that comes out before you can decide whether it's appropriate. Ren watched him with an expression that was not quite a smile and not quite concern, and was perhaps both at a distance.
He found it funny, too,
Ren said quietly.
At first.
The laughter stopped.
Okay,
Jack said, finally looking up.
You want the philosophy one?
There was a philosopher, Marr said.
There is always a philosopher.
Jack set down his stylus, which meant this was going to take a minute.
Came in about 12 cycles back. Big reputation. The kind of man who had opinions about everything and was correct about enough of them that people kept listening. First week, the station loved him. The geometry was cooperative. Corridors went where he expected. The anomaly rate in his section dropped 40% just from him walking through it.
That happen often? Marr asked.
Never,
Ren said without looking up.
He was right about everything,
Jax continued.
Not approximately right. Actually right. He'd look at a spatial inconsistency and explain exactly why it existed. People came from other sections just to listen. Even Vane stopped by once.
What did Vane think? Marr said.
Vane listened for about 4 minutes,
Jack said.
Then he got a coffee and left. Nobody asked him what he thought.
Marr filed that away. Jack sat up slightly, took on a vague approximation of an accent the philosopher had. The fork appeared in his hand from nowhere.
You see, the thing about this station, and this is the crucial point, the contradictions are not the problem. The contradictions are the solution. The station is not broken. The station is the most ideologically coherent structure in the known universe. And what this reveals about late imperial bureaucratic systems under temporal stress is frankly...
He gestured at a wall.
And this is where it gets interesting.
He gestured at the ceiling.
Equals God,
Jack said, dropping the accent. Wait, Marr said.
Same answer,
Wren said quietly.
different direction.
He kept going for another 3 weeks after that.
Jack said, picking up his stylus.
Stopped being right somewhere in the second week. Just kept being loud. He looked at his scroll. Brilliant guy. One of the best we ever had.
The past tense sat on the counter between them. Mila turned her cup on the counter. Once. Slowly.
There was a man,
she said.
on our rotation, 8, maybe 9 cycles back. Smart, thorough. The kind of thorough that becomes a problem when there's too much work and not enough hours.
She looked at her coffee.
He started taking the East Spur every day. Faster route. Saved him 40 minutes. But the East Spur
A Schrödinger.
Jack said, not looking up.
was fine for a while.
Mila continued.
Then you could see it. The small things first. He'd repeat himself in briefings. Not nervously. Like the repetition made sense to him. Like he was certain he hadn't said it yet.
She paused.
Then one day there were 2 of him at the morning report.
Marr put down his coffee.
The copy came out well.
Mila said.
Better than well. He was the man as he'd been 3 years earlier, before the East Spur. Sharp, rested, good memory, good color.
And the original, Marr said.
You could tell them apart easily by then.
Mila said.
The corridor had been using him, not cruelly, just the way a current uses a stone, rounding the edges, slowing the
She paused, choosing.
processing.
What happened? Marr said.
They got trapped.
Mila said.
The corridor held them, 2 identical readings in the same space. The station couldn't reconcile which one was the real variable, so it just... She made a small gesture with her cup. Held them there. Kept them in solution.
They argued.
Jack said.
Constantly.
Mila confirmed.
You can still hear them if you take the East Spur, which is why we don't take the East Spur.
What do they argue about? Marr said. Mila was quiet for a moment.
Who the original is.
She said.
The copy is certain he is. The original knows he is, but can't. She touched her temple briefly. Can't always find the words anymore.
She turned her cup again.
The original passed about 2 cycles back, just the cells. Too long in a corridor that doesn't quite work the way corridors should.
And the copy, Marr said.
Made another copy.
Mila said.
We think he panicked. Didn't want to be alone in there.
Is the new one?
Cleaner.
Mila said.
Yes. Better than the copy was. The station knows him very well by now. Fills in what's missing.
The table was quiet.
They're still arguing,
She said.
the 2 of them. Different argument now.
What about? Marr said. Mila looked at him.
Whose fault the first one was.
Jax went back to his report. Wren peeled her protein with focused attention. Marr realized he was still smiling. He adjusted his face. Then wondered why he'd bothered. Then found that wondering felt like the more interesting problem. He was not frightened. He turned that over, the way you examine a result that doesn't match your model. A man who arrived at the edge of the known universe heard 3 stories about people consumed by it by the end gate and felt interested. Somewhere in the station, a corridor shifted almost imperceptibly, like something getting comfortable. Wren was watching him. The look lasted a moment longer than a look usually does.
"Don't get attached," she said.
"To the work?" Marr said.
"To anything."
Ren said. Everyone went back to what they were doing. Mila slid a coffee across the counter without being asked. Schrödinger's corridors. Don't observe them too closely. The station doesn't like being watched while it's deciding. Ren had told him that in the first week, and Marr had laughed and Ren had not, and Marr had filed the asymmetry as data. He still laughed now, most of the time, but sometimes walking the maintenance wings late, he heard voices ahead of him. 2 voices, arguing quietly. Both of them sounded like him. He stopped once, listened, recognized the rhythm of his own thinking, the way he structured an argument, the particular cadence of a man working through something he hadn't resolved yet. There were 2 of them doing it, slightly out of phase, like an echo that had developed opinions. He stood there for a long moment. Then he walked away. Not because he was frightened, because he understood, without being able to say how, that it wasn't time yet. The corridor would still be there. The voices would still be there. The station was patient, and so was he, and there was work to do first. He learned not to follow. He did not learn not to listen. The Vane meeting. Vane didn't summon him exactly. There was simply a moment, 3 days after the block lunch, when Marr found himself walking toward the commander's office without being entirely sure who had decided that. The office was smaller than he expected. No windows. A desk that had been used long enough to have opinions about it. 2 cups of something that steamed slightly and smelled like coffee, the way a memory of coffee smells. Vane gestured at the chair across from him without looking up. Marr sat. For a moment, Vane just read whatever was in front of him. Not performing busyness. Actually busy. The kind of busy that has learned to exist in the same space as everything else without apologizing for it. Then he set it down.
Elias Marr,
Vane said.
You did the guard shifts.
Yes, sir.
27-hour clock for the shift rotations. 3 hours on, irregular intervals. Never the same time twice.
It takes about 2 weeks before your body stops expecting a pattern, Marr said.
3,
Vane said.
For most. The ones who adjust in 2 usually have trouble later. They think they've mastered something. He picked up his cup. The guard shift isn't teaching you to tell time. It's teaching you that time is a collectively maintained agreement, and the moment you're separated from the collective, you're operating on faith.
You have to trust the people coming on after you, Marr said, that they'll tell you what you missed.
And they always miss something too, Vane said. So you're all operating on a version of events that has small gaps in it, and the gaps accumulate. He looked at the cup. Those 3-hour shifts feel endless. Nothing to guard, nothing happening, just you and the corridor and the hum of the ship.
Feels like you've been there forever, Marr said.
Yes, Vane said.
Something in the way he said it. Not agreement, recognition. The word forever doing work, the sentence wasn't built to carry.
I've been here a long time, Vane continued. Long enough that I've stopped being able to count the gaps. He set the cup down. Everyone who comes here, every cycle, every posting, eventually makes a mistake the station accounts for. Files, some spectacular, most quiet.
The mathematician, Marr said.
Among others. Vane's eyes moved to him. You want to know what the mistake usually is?
It wasn't a question, but Marr answered it anyway. Yes.
They think the station is the test, Vane said. It isn't. The station is just where you find out what you brought with you.
He picked up the report again. The meeting was apparently over. Marr stood, moved toward the door. Sir, he said, how long is a long time? Here. Vane didn't look up.
Longer than the war, he said.
Which war? Marr said. Vane looked up then, and for just a moment, something moved behind his eyes that had no business being in a human face. Not malevolence, not madness, just depth. The kind that has no bottom you can locate.
Exactly, Vane said,
and went back to his report. Disappearance. Rental vanished on a Tuesday. Not officially. Officially, she was still assigned. But her desk was gone, bolts smoothed over, conduit capped with a date 2 years old.
Guess Ren finally transferred,
Jack said.
He warned me not to get attached.
Marr said.
That sounds like Ren, Mila replied.
Marr marked the discrepancy resolved pending confirmation. The system accepted it immediately. For a moment, the station felt pleased. The denial. Marr saw Rima Ose on the bridge. "You remember me," he said.
I'm sorry, she replied carefully. Have we met?
He laughed it off. Long cycles.
Exactly, she said, relieved. There are variations.
Across the deck, Vane watched. Patient. Marr found an unused terminal in a transit alcove off the service ring and sat with it for a long time without logging in. Ose hadn't been lying. That was the part that had unsettled him. He was trained to detect deception, small hesitations, overcorrections, the micro-expressions of someone managing a story. There had been none of that. She'd looked at him with the calm patience of someone genuinely searching their memory and genuinely coming up empty. She hadn't forgotten him. He simply hadn't happened to her yet. Or he had happened, and the station had reconciled the record in a direction that excluded him. He thought about Ren's word. Reconciliation. He'd spent his career treating it as a neutral term, a ledger brought into balance. He understood now that it wasn't neutral. Reconciliation required deciding which version of events was true. It required the suppression of the one that wasn't. The station didn't falsify records, it selected between them. He sat for a while longer, listening to the station move around him. Somewhere a pressure seal vented with a low, satisfied hiss. Somewhere a loader miscounted its manifest and corrected itself before any human noticed. He thought, I am very good at this job. He thought, I wonder if that's why I'm here. He thought, I wonder if that's why I've always been here. He logged into the terminal. 23 new discrepancies, all time-stamped within the last hour. He began to work. Transfer. The jump wasn't an event. Marr slept. He dreamed of corridors that went somewhere and corridors that didn't, and found he couldn't tell the difference from the inside. He woke to a ceiling that was too far away. The air tasted like a room that had been thinking for a very long time. The True Ends Gate project. The station here was 8 times larger, built from missing corridors, missing labs, missing people. Everything arrived intact. People worked in parallel, variants, near duplicates, calm, organized. A man stepped forward who looked exactly like Kells. Then another. All of us, Kells said. Different times, different needs. They stopped at a desk. A badge waited. Ends Gate Project. Reconciliation Oversight. We built a droid for this, Marr said.
It completed its work, Kells replied. Perfectly. Too perfectly. It found no variance, another Kells said. No friction.
So it hung itself? Marr asked. Kells nodded. Briefly. No return, Marr said. There's no paperwork supporting one. Marr took the badge. The terminal lit up. Intake discrepancies. Corridor assignments. Personnel reconciliations. All marked pending.
For what it's worth, one of the Kells said, you kept things running longer than most.
Don't get attached, Marr replied.
Kells smiled.
You won't.
The lights adjusted as Ensgate logged another successful arrival. Marr sat for a long moment without touching the terminal. Around him, the station moved with a calm he had never felt on Harrowgate. There were no arguments about routing, no frantic recalculations, no overlapping voices trying to keep something alive through force of attention. Here, everything already agreed with itself. He watched one of the Kells pass the desk, then another, then a third. Each carried a slate marked with the same heading.
End Gate Protocol. Continuous. You should understand, the first Kells said, stopping beside him. There is no completion state for this project.
No end?
No resolution, Kells corrected. The protocol exists to prevent one.
He gestured toward the vast interior of the station.
This place isn't an escape, Kells said. It isn't a refuge, it's a pressure valve. When reality becomes too expensive to reconcile, too contradictory, too slow, too human, it routes the excess here.
And when this place fills up? Marr asked. Kells smiled.
Then Ensgate expands.
New corridors, new people, new versions of us. Marr glanced back at the terminal. The list of pending items was already longer. So Harrowgate...
We'll keep shrinking, Kells finished, and this will keep growing. Not because anyone chose it, but because the numbers insist.
Marr clipped the badge to his chest and felt it register. The terminal chimed softly.
Protocol acknowledged.
Only then did he understand the cruelty of the assignment. There would be no final report, no moment when the work was finished. Ensgate did not solve problems. It absorbed them. Somewhere far away, another station misfiled a discrepancy. Ensgate felt it immediately. Far down a corridor that hadn't existed a moment before, Marr heard two voices arguing. Both of them sounded like him. He did not follow. That was Schrödinger's Corridor, Episode 2 of Vicious Planets. Elias Marr and the Ensgate Protocol will return at least a couple times, for sure in the Static Oracle Radio Hour in about 20 weeks. However, he is currently filing. If this one stayed with you, subscribe on YouTube for more tales from the end of things. Vicious Planets is also available in podcast form every Tuesday for your commute. Next transmission, Episode 3. Have you glorped yourself? Tentatively logged for next Tuesday. This episode is a work of fiction and commentary. Any references to law, medicine, or real-world systems are for storytelling purposes only and should not be taken as professional advice. File all forms in triplicate. Always know where your ID is.